Ooh, it's cold. Really cold. Hey guys, what's happening? We're back. Got a little project I'm going to do tonight. I kind of told you about it in the last video, in the update video, but yeah, I'm going to make I'm going to call it a brace bar for the back of the engine. So when we install this engine, got our motor mounts here, single bolt on either side. Plastic off. We can talk about it a little bit more. Yikes. All right, so motor mounts are on, but see you have a single bolt that holds the engine in, and you have this one mounting location, and the engine's just kind of going to sit in there, and without the transmission hooked up to the back and the transmission crossmember mount in the car, you really don't have anything to stabilize this thing. It's just going to kind of sit in there and kind of teeter until we get the transmission in. And what we've got to do is we've got to get the angle of the engine properly aligned for the drivetrain, for the transmission, drive shaft you're in. And you know, all this is custom. It's getting a T5 transmission straight shift in it, and I'm building a custom cross member. And when you do a custom cross member, you got to make sure you get the positioning right and the height right for how the transmission sits in the car. And I want to get that spot on. Easiest way to do that is to position your engine in first. Pull a line, pull string, you can do different things, but you can you know, get that angle correctly positioned and stabilize the engine in the right position. Build your cross member, and then everything should align, right? I mean, that's how I'm thinking about it. So how do we do that? Well, I'll show you how we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it using this bar. So in the last video, I think I kind of talked about it, but it was hard to visualize unless you actually have the stuff in front of me. So as you can see, I've got this bar. It's kind of sitting up here as just positioning it where it's pretty much gonna sit when I attach it to the back of the engine. So you can see here I have a bolt. I went to Home Depot, got a bolt. I got these little rubber feet. I'll show you those in a minute. But basically this bolt's gonna go through our piece of square tubing. So we're gonna cut some holes, drop this guy in. We're gonna weld a nut on both sides so we can basically just screw this thing down through the bar, and it'll raise the bar up, or if we unscrew it, it'll lower the bar down. So the basic theory is as I lower and raise this bar, I will attach it to the back of the engine using an L bracket, and I'll put some holes through it, and I'll put a hole in here too, so I can attach an L bracket to it, and basically I'll just move this bar up and down until I get the engine positioned correctly. All right? Seems pretty simple. I hope it's going to be simple, but we'll see. So what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to mark my hole locations where I'm going to drill, and then I'm going to weld in our nuts and bolt to basically build up the bar and have it ready to go. So once our engine gets dropped in, all we got to do is create that L bracket on the back of the engine, and I think I know where I'm going to place that L bracket on here. Let's see, I've got a hole right here, a threaded tap on the back of the intake right here. And basically I'm just going to take a piece of metal. I'm going to bend an L bracket up, probably pretty tall, really tall. I'm not sure how tall it'll be, but anyway, I'll put a bunch of holes in it, and that'll be where our position, our mount position for that bar will go. And then once that stabilizes the engine, we can just, you know, raise or lower that bar wherever we need the back of the engine to be. Pretty simple project, but it has a huge importance and function to make sure we get our drivetrain alignment correctly done. So that's the project. Here we go. All right, so we're back over here at the car, and I just need to make some rough marks. We don't have to be really precise here because, I mean, obviously we've got on this front apron up here, our front shock tower support, whatever you want to call it, we've got a a lot of room. So we've got a lot of wiggle room here. We want to put this bolt. I'm thinking that there's a little bit of an angle here, a little bit of a kick out or kick up. So our angle's a little bit wonky if we go too far in for our position, but it's pretty flat really where I have this thing positioned right now. You can kind of see right here, there's that angle. So I'm thinking it's going to be pretty far on the outsides of this bar, but right about there. And I'm not exactly sure. Maybe I should take a moment and just look at that as well. Our distributor is going to be, the distributor is going to sit pretty much right here. And I mean, it's pretty tight in here. So the distributor's here. Let's go look at the engine, see how much room we have between really the front of the distributor rather, and where this bar is going to sit. And that's going to give me a little indication if I need to move the bar back or if I'm in a good position right here. So let's do that real quick. And then we can decide where we want to put those holes. So looking at the distributor position here, knowing that this is really pretty tight back here to the back of the firewall, I probably have it about 1.5 inches before we get to the firewall, if this is, if I remember correctly from taking the old engine out. So let's just say it's right about here. We don't have to be perfect on this, but say it's right there. We're gonna come, probably I'll get a measuring tape, but anyway, our hole where we're gonna mount our L bracket is really just right, almost dead in line with the front of the distributor. Okay, so if we're coming up right there, we want to meet, I'm going to say the back side of our bar. We want the bar to be in front of that. So we need to be, our bar needs to be right about where this valve cover bolt is to make this work, or at least the front of the bar should be right about there. Okay, so let's do a measurement on that. Go over, get our measuring tape, take that measurement. Oh, I hope I'm not making you sick here. I'm just going to bring you along for the journey. So let's see. And this, like I said, is pretty rough, but let's see. If we say right about there, 1.5 inches. So let's call it 8 inches. Is what we need to account for from the back of the firewall. That should put us pretty close. Let's go measure back here. So we said 8 inches. So 8 inches from the back of the firewall roughly is going to put us, actually the firewall is really about a little bit behind our mark right there. So let's see. Yeah, that's not too far. So that puts us back just a little bit, about 1 inch further back than where I am right now. I've got our clutch reservoir kind of in the way, but it's just barely mounted up. So I'll take that down. I'll move this guy back. Let's see where we're at. All right. So move this back to the position I think that it's going to be pretty close to. So, all right, so this is where we need to be, and I think we can put a mark right here. Let me make sure I'm nice and even on both sides. Oops, let's go pretty close there. Just got a little bit more room than I thought. Looks like we're pretty much lined up with the corner of that bolt, and pretty close to lined up with the corner of that bolt. So that's going to get us pretty close. So we can put marks. Really, I mean, we can just go like about 1 inch in on both sides of the bar, and that should get us where we need to be. All right, let's mark it up, drill some holes, and weld up some nuts on it. All right, you can see where we're at here now. Hope this is kind of making sense at this point. Basically what we're going to do is run that through. And you know what? I've been thinking about this. I don't really have to even weld anything on this. I can really just use this bottom nut and screw it up to the height that I need and leave it floating in there. So, I mean, I could weld it on both sides, but then, you know, run these nuts down tight like so, and put a bead here, a bead there on these nuts, and then I would just need to, I mean, just turn this and it would raise and lower the bar just fine. Still might do that, but for the purposes tonight and really for the functionality of this, I don't know if I need to go to that extra effort. I might not, but for the video tonight and what we're doing, I think I'm just gonna do it like that. So I'm gonna do the other side, drill those out, put this together, put a little rubber nibs on the ends here, and then we'll take it over there and I'll show you what it looks like, and we'll go from there. All right, well, here is pretty much the final product. It's pretty much that simple. You're gonna give me some flack probably about not centering that up. Really not a big deal. The bolt's not perfectly centered in a bar, but this bar is really, I mean, it's gonna be used for one purpose. It didn't need to be absolutely 100% perfect. So anyway, that looks really good. There it is. Let's take it over here to the car. Drop out any extra bits and see what we got. Let's see if we succeeded in our task. And I think we did. Check that out. All right, there it is, folks. Pretty simple. Pretty simple, right? So that looks good. I think we're in a good position there. We obviously can move this back or forward wherever we need it. It is definitely manipulable to do that. And really, I can't position a hole in it until I get the engine in for that L bracket that'll come up. Once the engine's in, I will do that. I will put a hole in here. I think it's gonna be pretty close to this area. I'll make our little L bracket and run a bolt through that wherever we need it. And then we can just position this thing up or down, however tall we need that engine. So we've got about, looks like 3 or 4 inches, 3 inches maybe of travel that we can get out of this thing. And that's gonna be plenty. If we gotta move that engine more than a couple inches, I mean, we'll figure that out. May have to put a jack under it, get it to the right position or close position first before we drill our holes or mounts, whatever. No big deal. That's gonna be plenty to get our angle correct. So cool little quick project that will help us out tremendously on this thing. So yeah, that'll just stabilize the engine no matter what. Once we get in the car, get it sitting down while we're working on the transmission and put it in there. Now let's keep it all stabilized anyway. So it's a good thing to do. Nice little thing to have handy. Don't know when or if we'll use it again in the future, but I think we could. I definitely think anytime you're taking a transmission out of a car and you want to stabilize your engine, this may be a good thing to do. So I hope that helps you guys out. Just a quick little project, something to do tonight while we're waiting on those brackets to get the rear end done. You can see I'm working all that good stuff. Yeah, that's it. All right, guys, thanks for coming along on this next piece of the puzzle. I hope you have a good night. Stay warm. It's freezing out here. I want to go inside. And yeah, we'll see you next time in Southeast Beach Shop. Peace.